the organisms were divided into two kingdoms, that is kingdom Animalia and kingdom Plantae. And this two kingdom system of classification was given by Carolus Linnaeus. Kingdom Plantae, which is the largest kingdom on this planet, because billions to billions together of plant species are the kingdom Plantae. Five kingdom classification was proposed by R.H. Whittaker. Therefore, it is also called as Whittaker's system of classification. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to this session on biology, that is chapter 2 biological classification for 2nd PUC. I am Dr. Divya, biology faculty, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, Temple of Excellence, Mysore. So in this session, let us deal with a small topic under biological classification, that is system of classification. We shall learn about system of classification and then discuss few of the MCQs that can be framed under this particular topic. So let's learn about the system of classification. So we all know that classification is nothing but grouping of organisms based on some of the observable morphological characteristics in them. So when you look at an organism, you see the characteristics in these particular organisms. So based on how the organisms look, when you see them, you classify the organisms. So that is classification. So the first classification was actually started by Aristotle. So he was a philosopher, Aristotle. So Aristotle, what he did was, he classified the organisms into plants and animals. So Aristotle classified the organisms into plants and then into animals. So exactly, he divided plants based on trees, herbs and shrubs. And animals he classified based on whether they have red blood cells, have RBCs, red blood cells, or whether they don't have RBCs or red blood cells or red blood corpuscles. So this system of classification had a lot of doubts. Why? Because in plants, there are again some of the divisions which we need to put, like we have grasses. So where to place them? Like trees, or we have bryophytes, we have some algae. So all those members, where exactly can we place them? Because these members, that is algae, bryophytes and all that, they don't have a particular plant-like body. Say for example, like how plants have stem, leaves and all that. These bryophytes and algae, they don't have stems and leaves. Instead, they have a thallus. So where can we place them exactly? Because they are neither under trees, nor herbs, nor shrubs. There was a lot of confusion regarding this. And talking about animals, is only having RBC and not having RBC is a characteristic? No, right? Because some of the organisms will not have RBCs, or they may have some characteristics which are peculiar, which no other animals have. Like how animals, when we think of animals, we think of animals having a tail with 4 limbs and all that, right? That is how we, with a trunk, with a tail and the 4 limbs, that is how we imagine animals. But beyond that, there are millions to millions of animals which are present in this planet. So therefore, again here we can't put, for example, bacteria. Can we put a bacteria under animal? No, because bacteria are unicellular in nature, but animals are multicellular in nature. So you can't club them under animals. So all these confusions were there with Aristotle's system of classification. But still, it was Aristotle's idea to classify organisms, and based on this only rest all the classifications came into. So, we'll study about two kingdom system of classification. It is called two kingdom system of classification because here the organisms were divided into two kingdom, that is kingdom Animalia and kingdom Plantae. And this two kingdom system of classification was given by Carolus Linnaeus, a scientist named Carolus Linnaeus. So what did he classify organisms into? Kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia. Again, in this two kingdom system, there are a lot of issues because we cannot put the Protestant groups or Euglenias, Parameciums, all that we cannot put it under Plantae, nor we can put it under animals, Nor we can put a bacteria under animals. So lots of confusions are there. Or mushroom, for example. Should we put a mushroom under plants or animals? No, we can't put it under plants because mushrooms lack chlorophyll, and we can't put it under animals because they don't move from one place to another. Animals are motile, but mushrooms, they stick on to one particular place, right? And animals, they are not saprophytes, meaning they don't grow on dead and decaying organic matter. They are carnivores or herbivores, but mushrooms are not carnivores or herbivores. So, lot of confusions were there. So, what were the issues that were there in this particular two kingdom system of classification? Let's look into. So, here bacteria. Bacteria are prokaryotes. What does prokaryotes means? Prokaryotes are those organisms. So, karyon means nucleus. Okay. So, prokaryotes are those organisms which lack a nuclear membrane. So, all the cells, we know that all cells have a nucleus, right? And the nucleus will be covered by a nuclear membrane. So, if this is a nucleus, it will be covered by a membrane, that is a nuclear membrane. Because it is a membrane covering the nucleus, it is called as nuclear membrane. But in the case of prokaryotes, prokaryotes will not have a nuclear membrane, and prokaryotes, if at all they have organelles in them, or those organelles also do not have a membrane, meaning they don't have membrane bound organelles. So prokaryotes are the ones which lack a nuclear membrane as well as membrane bound organelles. So therefore bacteria, they are prokaryotes because they don't have a nuclear membrane surrounding the nucleus. So, and blue-green algae, that is cyanobacteria. Blue-green algae is not an algae, it is a bacteria. It is called blue-green algae because it has chlorophyll pigments in them, and it has some very minute characteristics which resemble algae. So that is why they have named it as blue-green algae, but it is not an algae. It is a bacteria, and they are unicellular, and fungi, mosses, then ferns, gymnosperms. These ferns, mosses and all the are non-flowering plants. They don't produce flowers. And angiosperms, which are flowering plants, they are all put under eukaryotes, that is under plants. Bacteria was supposed to be a prokaryote because bacteria are unicellular in nature. They don't have a nuclear membrane, nor their organelles are bound by membrane. But bacteria, this blue-green algae, all these were put under plants, which is very, very wrong because plants are multicellular in nature, and plants have a cell wall, and plants have a plasma membrane, whereas bacteria do not have a plasma membrane. And plants, they synthesize their own food, they are autotrophic, but bacteria are not autotrophic, they are heterotrophic in nature. Like this, a lot of drawbacks were there. So this is one of the issues that was there in the two kingdom system. And next, unicellular chlamydomonas and multicellular spirogyra were grouped together. Chlamydomonas and spirogyra were put under plants. It is wrong because chlamydomonas organism is unicellular. It is made up of one single cell, whereas spirogyra, which is an algae, it is made up of multiple cells. So therefore this is wrong. Next, there was no differentiation between heterotrophic group fungi and autotrophic green plants. Fungi are heterotrophic. Heterotrophic means they depend on other organisms for their food. Autotrophic means they depend on themselves for their food. In autotrophic, we have two forms, that is photosynthetic and chemosynthetic. Photosynthetic, they synthesize their own food by making use of sunlight. Chemosynthetic, they synthesize their own food by making use of chemicals. And in heterotrophic, we have parasitic, saprophytic. So saprophytic means those which grow on dead and decaying organic matter. Obviously, mushroom, which comes under fungi, they are saprophytes because they are usually found growing on dead and decaying organic matter, and they make their food or derive their food from that dead and decaying organic matter. So they are depending on those dead and decaying organic matter for their food. So therefore, they are saprophytes. They are heterotrophic in nature. So therefore, you cannot put a mushroom under plants. So it was a drawback. So these were the drawbacks or issues in two kingdom system of classification. Because all these issues were there. That is why they went in for 5-kingdom system of classification to rectify this or to avoid confusion. So 5-kingdom system of classification was given by R.H. Whittaker, and he considered few characteristics while classifying the organisms or putting the organisms under these 5 kingdoms. What are those characteristics? We shall look into. So he considered the structure of the cell and how the body is organized, and what is their mode of nutrition, like whether it is autotrophic, heterotrophic, saprophytic, parasitic, chemosynthetic, photosynthetic, all that, and how they reproduce either by vegetative, sexual or asexual method, and their phylogenetic relationship, that is what relationship or what similarity they hold with the other organisms. So phylogenetic relationship or evolutionary relationship. So these are the 5 kingdoms into which the organisms are grouped or classified. It is kingdom Monera. Under this, all the bacteria come under kingdom Monera. Okay, and under Protista, most of the unicellular organisms come under Protista. Then fungi, they are multicellular, mushroom, toadstools and aspergillus, all these come under fungi. Then kingdom Plantae, which is the largest kingdom on this planet, because billions to billions together of plant species are the kingdom Plantae, and all the plants come under kingdom Plantae, which includes mosses, bryophytes, algae and all that. Pteridophytes, gymnosperms, all that come under kingdom Plantae. Then we have Animalia, that is all the animals come under kingdom Animalia. The birds, the insects, the mammals, the reptiles, all these, everything come under kingdom Animalia. So we shall study about his characteristics in general in the form of this table. So characters, I told you he categorized organisms or classified organisms based on their cell type, based on the cell wall, based on the presence or absence of nuclear membrane, based on how their body is organized, and based on what type of nutrition they taken. What is the mode of nutrition? So okay, Monera. Monera is prokaryotic. So what does prokaryote mean? They do not have a nuclear membrane. So therefore, nuclear membrane is absent under Monera. And their cell wall, is a cell wall present? Yes, it is present, but it is not made up of cellulose. It is non-cellulosic. But instead, they are made up of polysaccharides and amino acids. Next, body organization is cellular. That is, they have only one cell. They are unicellular. Next, talking about the mode of nutrition, they are autotrophic. I've already told you what autotrophic is, given the definitions. In autotrophic, they can either be chemosynthetic or photosynthetic, or if they are heterotrophic, they can be saprophytic or parasitic in nature. I've already told you all this. So, saprophytic, they grow on dead and decaying organic matter. Parasites means they live on other living hosts, wherein they derive the nutrition from that living host, eventually killing that particular host in which they are living. So, they are parasitic. Next, talking about Protista. Remember, all the bacteria come under Monera. All bacteria come under Monera. Next, Protista, they are eukaryotic. So, now you can ask me, Protista, fungi, Plantae and Animalia all have a nuclear membrane around them. Can you see here? Nuclear membrane is present. Here also present, present, present. But why didn't they club it into all together? Why? Because we have to look into other characters also. We cannot just depend on one character while classifying an organism. So here talking about the cell wall, here only we'll get the difference. Why they were not put together, though they belong to eukaryotes. Though all of these protistans, fungi and Plantae and Animalia all had the nuclear membrane around the nucleus, or they were eukaryotic, why didn't they club it together and put it under one group? Is Monera and one more group we could have studied and we could have closed this. But why was it classified separately? We'll look into the cell wall. So here only there are a lot of difference. So cell wall, they are present in some. Some may have a cell wall, some may not have a cell wall. In fungi, they have a cell wall, but it is made up of chitin, a compound, chemical compound called as chitin. In plant, cell wall is present and it is made up of cellulose. But in animals, if you see here, animals have a plasma membrane, but they do not have a cell wall. Cell wall is absent. Again here you can tell me, okay, now we can do one thing, we can club Protista and fungi and Plantae together, but let's make 3 groups, Monera or one more group and then Animalia. So wherein these 3 we can club. But again I told you we have to look into other characteristics as well. So talking about the body organization, now we'll look here. Body organization in the case of Protista is cellular, meaning they have only one cell, they are unicellular. But fungi, they are multicellular where the cells are arranged loosely forming loose tissues. But talking about plants, they are also multicellular. But see here, they have tissues that are packed and they have organs in their bodies, right? Plants have organs, but do Protista have organ? No, Protistas cannot have organ because they are made up of only one single cell, they are unicellular. Fungi also cannot have organs because though they are multicellular, their tissues are loosely arranged. They don't have organs like how plants have roots, leaves, stem and all that organs. These do not have. And talking about animals, here if you can see, they have tissue level of organization, group of tissues, that is they are multicellular, group of cells, they form a tissue, group of tissue will form an organ and group of organ will form the organ system. Like we have organs, kidney, liver, the pancreas, then the intestine. So organ system means digestive system. So on the digestive system, what all we have organs like the intestine, the stomach, all that comes under the digestive system, right? So here looking into the that is organization, body organization or cellular organization only, there is difference in each of these organisms. That is why they have split it into different kingdoms, though they come under eukaryotes. So that is how classification was done by Whittaker. Now, mode of nutrition in Protista, it is only autotrophic and it is heterotrophic. So, if it is autotrophic, it is only photosynthetic and nothing else. It is only photosynthetic. Fungi, they are completely heterotrophic. They are not autotrophic. So, therefore, though fungi is also a eukaryote, you cannot put it under Protista because their mode of nutrition is completely different. Fungi are not autotrophic. They cannot synthesize their own food because they don't have chlorophyll in them. But they are saprophytic or parasitic. That is, they are heterotrophic in nature. Next, plants, they are not heterotrophic. Can a plant go and eat an animal? Or no, they synthesize their own food by using sunlight. They are autotrophic only, wherein they are photosynthetic. Next, talking about heterotrophic, that is animals, they are completely heterotrophic. Animals are not autotrophs. They are completely heterotrophic, wherein they are holozoic. Holozoic means they completely go near the organism and engulf or devour the organism fully. Holozoic, or they can be saprophytic, wherein they can depend on dead and decaying matter. So this is how classification was done. Because now we know about all of these, let us move into the multiple choice questions. So these are the set of questions that can be framed under this particular topic. So two kingdom system of classification was given by, it was by Carolus Linnaeus, not R.H. Whittaker, because he gave 5 kingdom system of classification. Next, two kingdom system of classification includes, what are they? Plantae and Animalia, Monera and Plantae, Fungi and Animalia, Monera and Protista. No, if you remember, two kingdom system of classification was given by Linnaeus and he classified the organism into kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia. So next question, the organisms under the kingdom dash has no nuclear membrane. So no nuclear membrane means they are prokaryotes. Prokaryotes. So therefore here, is it Monera, Protista, Fungi or Plantae? The right answer here is Monera. So Monera, wherein bacteria come under Monera. So their nucleus do not have a nuclear membrane. They have a free nucleus or they don't have a well organized nucleus. Therefore the answer here is Monera. Moving on to the next question. The organisms under the kingdom dash do not have a cell wall. So what is the question? Do not have a cell wall. So is it Protista, Fungi, Plantae or Animalia? So Protista, they have a cell wall which is made up of polysaccharides and amino acids. Fungi, they have a cell wall that is made up of chitin. Plantae, they have a cell wall made up of cellulose. Whereas animals, the kingdom Animalia, do not have a cell wall. Instead, they only have a plasma membrane. So the right answer here is kingdom Animalia. Five kingdom classification is also called as. So we know that five kingdom classification was proposed by R.H. Whittaker. Therefore, it is also called as Whittaker's system of classification. Two kingdom system of classification was proposed by Linnaeus. So therefore, it is called as Linnaeus system of classification. So five kingdom system of classification is also called as Whittaker's system of classification. Next here, dash organisms are prokaryotes. I just changed it, meaning no nuclear membrane. No nuclear membrane. So here, is it Protista, fungi, Monera or Animalia? Protista, they are eukaryotes. Fungi, they are also eukaryotes. Monera do not have a nuclear membrane because all the bacteria come under Monera. They lack a nuclear membrane, so therefore they are prokaryotes, and Animalia, they are eukaryotes. So the right answer here is Monera. So this was about the session wherein we learnt about the system of classification. Under that, we learned the two kingdom system of classification and the five kingdom system of classification, and we also studied some of the MCQs that can be framed under this particular topic. So this was about this session. So we shall meet again in the coming session wherein we shall discuss a new topic and the multiple choice questions coming under that topic. Thank you.